All right. Welcome to the Beauty of Brushwork class 5 of 8. So we do have 3 more classes together after that, or after this one. And so, yeah, we got plenty of time. The homework for the final 2 weeks is pushing yourself on whatever that means, slightly bigger or more involved, utilizing the 3 major elements that we've covered, trees, water, and sky, with an emphasis on brushwork. All right, so that is the homework. You can pick your subject, or you can do a paint along with me, and we can all paint from the same image. And last week we did the black and white acrylic paintings, or at least I did. And like a bad boy, I went ahead and I just couldn't help myself, painted into them. I did one with very cool colors. And who was it last week that asked me, what happens with all that texture that you left underneath there with your acrylic painting? Who mentioned that? Because yeah, boy, was I really, really wrestling with that up in here. You can see some kind of a lot of texture going on that maybe wasn't as intentional. So note to self, smooth out the sky. Anyways, I can come back in with opaque paint. I'm going to pop over to our Padlet in 1 second. Just got to bring it up on the screen. There it is. All right, everybody sees our Padlet page, the beauty of brushwork, painting clouds, trees, and water. Great. So I didn't shoot a long form video of those, but I did shoot a little quick stop motion. Okay, the volume is off. I think there's noise. So really quickly, and I can pause it here. So that's kind of the nice thing you guys can see. So I knew that, I didn't want 2 just super warm paintings. I wanted one to be cooler. And I always love when I'm out at the coast and there's that kind of blue gray marine layer right above the water in the distance. And then it goes to just oftentimes like a glowy, beautiful fuchsia, and then to pink. And then what's interesting, oftentimes when I see the sky like that, is the top of the sky, even though the lights, maybe duck down behind the horizon, a lot of times the top of the sky is actually lighter in value, but it will generally be a little bit cooler. So I kind of wanted to play that up. I wish I had a better reference to go by. I really kind of went by my instincts on this one. And I did end up wrestling with the texture, which you guys are going to see. So basically right here, I'm just throwing bands of color across, quite transparent. And you can already see that I'm looking for the blue to purple to kind of that fuchsia, warmer purple. And then I went ahead and threw in a warm red, thinking that would be a good transition color towards the yellow. But what you're going to see here in just a second is I'm going to wipe that back away because I do not like the transition that it creates. I also put a very strong yellow, and it looks just like a crazy, stupid rainbow. And so already I could feel myself going, my heart rate going up and my shoulders getting tight. That's literally how I know a painting is going south, is I listen to my body while I'm painting. Wiping it back away. Nope, the red up there, cooler yellow. So that time, the first time I put a cadmium yellow, it was a warm yellow. So that time I put a Hansa yellow light, which is a very cool borderline greenish yellow. And I liked it a lot better. And then I brought down the red, and I thought maybe just a little band of transitionary color might be nice. And what I kind of liked is, I can't go back and forth with it on here, but anyways, we'll see. So you see, I just keep pushing that red down further and further because I just think that maybe having less of the intense color and more of the cooler, lighter sky will help the tree to pop more. So remember, I'm keeping in the back of my head, what is the focus of this painting? The sky is beautiful, but it is about the shape of this tree. It's kind of a silhouette. So you can see I've wiped it away. Now the tree is much more pronounced. I've got rid of that gaudy rainbow.
So
Right
did you use a glazing process like you did in that show that you just did?
Yep, exactly. So I mixed a little bit of, I'm experimenting with that alio gel. I went to the art store and I had to pick up some panels because I needed a couple more paintings for the show to drop off tomorrow. And while I was there, there's a gentleman who's worked in the art store for 26 years. And we've kind of become friends, or at least he's my friend. He never remembers me, but until he sees my name. And then he's like, oh, hey, Mike, I don't know. But anyways, that's why I wear a name tag everywhere I go. Just kidding. But anyways, I asked him, I was like, you know what? I'm having this issue. I'm doing a lot of glazing. I am wanting to do transparent color, but all of the mediums are so darn shiny. And it's two sides. I don't want it really shiny, especially in the darks, because it makes it hard to photograph. It makes it appear weird, especially in my gallery at the coast. Their lighting is highly reflective. And so I know that shiny darks just don't work at the gallery. In fact, they will like a painting, but not take it just because they know it's going to be so shiny. So I asked him, is there any fast drying mediums that are for glazing that dry matte? And, I knew that that the Neome Gilt dries more of a satin, not as shiny, but still too shiny. The other thing about having a shiny surface is it's harder to put the next layer and the next layer and the next layer because it's a little bit slick. Whenever you got, just like wall paint, right? You put gloss in the bathrooms or in the kids area because the handprints can wash right off, right? It's the same with oil paint, I've found. So matte paint, I do find that it's easier to layer paint on top of it. Does that make sense, you guys? So anyways, he couldn't really think of anything, but he and I together went over and started reading the backs of all the mediums. And Winsor Newton makes this, I'm gonna grab it so I don't say it wrong. Winsor and Newton, it's called Liquid Oleo Paste. It smells badly. It really does. I have to open my windows and I've turned my circulating air purifier up to high. You may even be able to hear it in the background when I actually stop talking for a second, which probably won't happen. But anyways, this oleo paste, can you guys see my little picture up there, or do you only see this? But anyways, it's called Liquid Oleo Pasto, actually, OLEOPASTO. You don't need to get it by any means. You can even let me keep experimenting with it. I've only done a couple paintings, but it dried overnight. It was amazing. Literally the next day I was able to come back in and let's watch this video a little more, because what happened is I just never was quite fully happy with the colors as they were at the end. So I kind of just decided that the next day or whenever it was dry, I would come back in and glaze again and make the colors a little more intense. And that's when I used the quinacridone magenta, which is just a beautiful color that I've owned probably all of my painting life and never used, because quinacridone red is just so great. And it is just a gorgeous borderline purple color. So anyways, so let's keep watching here. So right now I'm coming in and I'm using my Q-tip to remove some areas, revealing some of the rocks, some of the ground a little bit, because it was just all dark in here. And then I've also come back in and I'm putting some warms on top of the trees, again, from the light bouncing off the top of the dome of the sky coming down to create a little bit of depth. I wanted it to be quite dark and silhouette-like, but I didn't want it to appear like just a big black hole. All right, the waves, and then there's just gonna be one more thing. So gosh, I wish I could go back just a step. When I stepped back and looked at it, it was just all purple. So I also grabbed a color I never use, is phthalo turquoise, which is a really dark, quite transparent turquoise. When you mix it with white, it is just beyond gorgeous, but I actually used it to glaze in. And then when I subtracted the paint over the lighter areas, it did the same thing as if I had added white. And it creates this kind of, I don't know, I really like that. And just that little punch of color, even though it's off to the edge, you know, not in a focal point area that I would want, I still liked it enough that I wanted to kind of leave that. So there, that's pretty much the end of day one. So did that make sense, you guys?
Yep.
So see, that red's too strong, the yellow's too strong. The great thing about painting on top of an acrylic painting is it's changeable. I could literally get back in, but the problem is all those little crevices up there in the textured area of the sky, it did get in there and pretty much get locked in. So I just decided, instead of you know, being super angry, I decided, you know what, I like it. You got to sometimes convince yourself. That's purposeful.
There you go.
How much of the olio pasto, which sounds like a really yummy Italian dish, did you mix in?
Very little, and it is thick and sticky as all get out. It is, I mean, I really sticky. Like, I had to use firm brushes even to get into the little pile that I'd put out there. My soft brushes would just kind of bend at the edge of it. So I mixed in probably about 15 to 20% Gamsol, and it made it so it's not literally an impasto. It's not a thick gel anymore. I thinned it down, and it made it into still quite sticky, like runny honey versus thick honey. And I was able to manipulate that. And again, it just dried so quickly, and it really did dry much, much more matte. Still a little bit shiny. But all right, so let's go back here. Oh, not here. Well, the brushwork one. And we'll just do a quick look on this one. Thin and thick paint. All right. So this one I wanted warm. So that is a weird, that first color, that red that I put down is a strange color. I just have a little tiny sample tube of it. And I remember the first time I tried it, it really felt like painting with ketchup. You know, you think of ketchup as red, but it's actually quite orangish. And it had that quality to it, kind of a, sour is a weird word to use, but it kind of feels like a sour red. And so anyways, you're going to see me fight it a little bit, but then also start to utilize it. So think of it as a warm, orangey, ketchupy red. Then I mixed a little Indian yellow again with that. I put some quinacridone mixed in with that red and used it kind of around the trees. I love this area. That looks really nice. Started wiping back away some Q-tips, revealing the rocks again. So here, what I'm doing is I mixed a little bit of white into kind of a grayish color, but I didn't want a cold gray because the light is so warm that if I would have put a really cold gray back here, it would just stand out. It wouldn't look right, like it was in that world. So I had to think of, how do I make a warmish gray? So I used some of the colors that were in this area and grayed them down, probably using a little bit of blue and a little bit of white. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to push those group of trees that are smaller further back. And then you're going to see me do the same thing on these rocks back here. These are all further away in my imagination, since this painting's from my imagination. And then what you're going to see is I'm going to bring a little more white into that same color, and I'm going to put that right along the edge where the rocks and the water meet. And then I also think that this rock here is in front of this little formation. So I add a little band of that white there to separate, and as if like there's a little sea mist. So watch for that. So you can see it starts to fall back into space. Did the same thing there with the rocks.
Hey, Michael,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
of course.
I couldn't get in for a half hour. Zoom said I locked my account, so I'm viewing this on Facebook, and I guess now I know that it's the right day. Okay.
Wait, you're watching this class on Facebook?
Yeah, Zoom would not let me in. It made me do those robot things, and then it said my account's locked. So I just want to make sure I'm on the right day, and I don't want to hold up the class.
All right, well, I will talk to my friends at Zoom. Yeah, I don't know what that is, and I don't know how you're watching it on Facebook. That's interesting.
I had to have my husband do it.
I think
I couldn't get into Zoom. He
I
put
think
me
he
on
signed
the
in.
Facebook.
I think you signed into Zoom using your Facebook account. Is what I'm
Yeah,
getting.
yeah.
Okay.
So the bottom line is I enjoyed your demo, but I do not want to hold up class. Your demo was superb
Oh, thanks.
with Eric Rhodes.
Appreciate that very much. So yeah, you can see here, I've graded this area and I've graded that area. So you see how it's just slightly lighter and it begins to recede back into space compared to these dark trees. Hopefully the same thing with the rocks. And I wanted it to, I put a little bit there. You see it's a little too light right now, but it'll get lighter. I just put in the band of fog in the bottom and kind of smoothing that out a little bit. There we go. So that was that. So anyways, same thing, kind of glazing, just kind of planning. That's what's really nice about the black and white underpainting is, I can make it go warm or cool. Like you saw in my demo, I had a hard time making that go cool because my underpainting was so warm. So just thinking about that a little bit. I apologize that I was impatient and just jumped the gun, but this will save us time so we can cover those other things. And you guys can watch this. It's on our Padlet, or the Padlet link will send you to my Facebook page where it is. And you can, again, just pause it. And if you really want some, you can listen to music. All right, let's go back to our
What's
Padlet.
that red color that you said you had a sample of?
Oh, let me see. It's called Perylene, Peryllene. I don't know if it's necessary to buy it. I think if you just mixed your red and some Indian yellow, you'd get close. I mean, I don't know, maybe if you liked it, or you can experiment with it.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I've never bought it. I mean, my little sample tube is literally the size of my thumb. It's just a little tiny tube. All right. Phew. So what was next? So there's that painting. We talked about homework. Is anybody really stuck and needs a little bit of feedback? Maybe one or two people in here?
Water.
We'll get to the water here. I know Vivian had some questions, was super patient last week. I apologize, Vivian, that we didn't get to yours. Linda, these are great. Good job. Those are going to be really nice. This tree here is on the very far back rocks. I would actually bring that down so that it is here. Otherwise, that ruins the sense of perspective. So just bring this base to being at the same level as this, and that will help.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. All right. That's a 10-second. Wow, Lisa Fairbank, this is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Sheesh, that is great. I love that.
It was a lesson in everything that went wrong. And
Well,
it was
good.
fun.
That's awesome. But it is beautiful. It's really nice. My wife brought back a whole bunch of photos of downtown Portland's cherry blossoms. And oh man, was I jealous. They're beautiful. Michelle, this is really coming to life. Just lovely. Thank you for revisiting it. What a difference from here to here. It's really.
And I might go back in, not during this session, but I might go do some glazing into the sky now, watching again. I think that would help. Maybe deepen it a little bit.
Yeah, maybe towards the top a little bit, and then letting the light appear, like it's coming, kind of a little bit like I did in that little 1-hour demo I just did, maybe. And oh shoot, what did I just do? Well, we popped over to Soli's painting. Soli, was this one you were working on and then you revisited it, or is this the old one?
I think I revisited it, but I have a newer one.
Okay, cool. It looks
Yeah, I think
like
you critique that one enough, I think.
Yeah, your sense of perspective is it looks a lot less flat. Nice job, and it changes. And Sandy, this one stopped me in my tracks the other day. Great job. Wow, this is really really working. I don't know if Sandy's here today.
Yep, I'm here.
Great job. This is really.
Yeah, and I put the one from last session to match it, to show how much I improved since the last session that we did.
Great.
So,
Yeah. So I really think you're understanding the difference in temperature and in values, that this needs to be just a touch darker, definitely cooler than this. Yeah, this is lovely. Nicely done. If you
Thank you.
wanted to, you could add just a touch of atmosphere
oh God,
here. These darks are really quite dark. If you just kind of add it at the bottom, it'll look like there's a little bit of haze and it'll push it back just a touch, but it works as it is because it's a framing device. And, you know, it's really nice and big and dark and strong. So anyways, you do not have to do that by any means. Great job.
Thank you.
Blah, 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 blah. We're going all the way over here to Vivian. Wait, is this your painting, Vivian? Nice.
ooh, ooh, nice.
Man, that is really nice. And it
Where's
even
Vivian?
reads
Oh,
so
there she
well.
is.
Reads
Wow.
so well as a thumbnail. That is beautiful. I love your transitions from the darker, you know, nothing is really dark in the snow, which it often is. And then you can see these where it goes from the gray blue to the purpley gray out towards the warm. Those transitions are really great. Do you have any, well, tell me your favorite part, Vivian. I think you might be muted if you're talking.
Yeah, hi. Well, I've reworked this. If you kind of scroll down a little bit, you'll see initially last week it was the kind of work in progress stage. And
You're like, I just added a bunch of snow to it. This one?
yeah, see, I had there was just this kind of wall of dark in the background that didn't I just wasn't feeling it. And I felt like because the light was coming from behind and to the right, that maybe some of those branches on the trees were a little too light. So then I spent a lot of time reworking and doing a lot of changing. I changed it so many times to get.
Oh, wow, you just knocked it open. You just clear cut a forest. Look at
Yeah, I
you.
did.
That's not easy when you got things in front of it. Like you had to paint kind of around and wow.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I kept on messing with those branches. Some of them looked like rungs on a ladder, and I kept changing to create negative spaces that weren't identical, and you know, just kind of working on it. I think I'm learning that I really need to not jump into things. I have a tendency to do that.
Yeah, you know, doing maybe even just with a number 2 pencil or something, keep it real simple, but just a couple little thumbnail sketches would have maybe saved you that heartache of going, you know, this whole area of having to repaint that. But
Mhm.
I'm really proud of you for seeing that, making those changes. And yeah, what a difference. This one just feels heavy and
Yeah.
almost top heavy
Mhm.
and not that inviting. This feels like a very cold walk where my only desire is to get back to the cabin. You know? And the other one is like, yay, let's go explore, let's go walk. And you know, I'm not cold, I'm not miserable, I'm you know, my hot toddy can wait, I'll get to it later, get back to the cabin. And yeah, this is really nice. I very much like that. And you
Thanks.
know, you were talking about the ladders on a rung, you know, and I again, if it was my painting, I would very much be fighting myself for making these evenly spaced and everything else. And you did, you know, and the
They
same with the
were. I had to unevenly space them.
right, but that's what we do. We
Mhm.
paint, we step back, we reflect. And
Mhm.
again, my goal is to keep you guys, my students, for life and never let you think that you've learned anything.
Oh, God, no.
Just kidding. My goal is to make myself obsolete. My goal is to make it so that literally I take up a little bit of space in your head and you can ask that little Mike Orwick in your brain, you know, what should I do differently, you know, or, you know, you can think of famous, you know, painters or whatever else. and you can have these little conversations of, you know, what would so-and-so do? What would Michael say if he saw this? What would my classmates say if they saw
Mhm.
this? Oh, they would say, you know, look at the repetition. Oh, look at the tangents. Oh, look at, you know,
Mhm.
whatever. And it really seems like you did that. Can you tell me a little bit about like that conversation? And then also being brave enough to literally clear cut a forest behind a highly detailed object is pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, I did that multiple times actually, because I'd kind of clear cut some of it and then see that things were not looking like they should. The branches were all going sideways. So I wanted to make some going backward and some, cutting in front of the other tree, for instance. And it's just, I guess, I don't know. Seems like I just have to see it before I realize whether it works or not. I wish I could do better with that.
You will get better. I mean, that's practice, and it's also making these. I don't even want to say that was a mistake, because it wasn't a mistake. It was a fine painting before, but now it's a better painting.
Right.
And
Yeah. I mean,
what
it's,
we're always aiming.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, you do it and then it shows you, okay, that's what I need to watch out for in the future. So,
Man, all right.
yeah, thank
I know
you.
you're a new student, but I'm already proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
And this is pretty nice here. It does feel lopsided quite a lot. Like it's
Mhm.
definitely growing over here. I don't know if that's the tree that's in the background that we're kind of seeing, or if the tree was quite growing much more on one side than the other.
Yeah, it's what it looked like in my photograph. So,
Yeah. So anyways, nicely done as well. But yeah, that is unfortunately the first thing I see is kind of like if the trunk was more bent, it could counterbalance, but it
Right.
definitely, for whatever reason, and trees are weird. I mean, just like
Mhm.
people and just like everything in nature, lopsided and odd and stuff. But, I would be tempted to do something to equal out the weight a little bit, possibly.
Well, I was trying not to have it be, like this perfect oval egg-shaped thing. I didn't want to do that either. And it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't want them to be too perfect.
Michael?
Yep.
Hi, you're on my pad thing. That one I did that's from the Portland Arboretum.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but I'm having a bad hair day. I can't, I've tried on my tablet and on the thing to write more. Padlet's giving me a hard time now. Boo-hoo. I don't know if you can see this one. I've been revisiting this one. Can you see this one?
No, not really.
This one,
Is it different than this?
yeah. I have tried to upload it from my thing, my phone.
All right,
So
well,
that one's gone. I've
email
got
it.
it in my hand, but needless to say, the one I downloaded was I took it from a photograph, but I can't get the photograph onto the Padlet. That one I've revisited. That's, you don't even want to look at that. It's so horrible. But I've revisited, I have it in my hand, but frankly speaking, I had trouble. I needed to know how to put the trees in, but this one I did from the photograph that I took at the Portland Arboretum.
All
Okay.
right. Great. Well, my really quick feedback is you've got nice movement, nice shapes. This is super heavy. If, maybe a sky hole or two.
Okay.
I mean, this is some nice shapes in here. Possibly. I mean, it doesn't matter. It can be a big dark shape like that, and that's fine because, this trail is taking us back here. See this purple that you have back here?
Yeah.
It's really warm. So you might want to, if this is supposed to be kind of atmospheric perspective, you might want to think about blue and gray a touch more in there to cool that down
Okay.
a little bit, and that will help that fall back into space a little bit. That purple is really quite warm, unless it's a bunch of plum trees or something.
No, it's just being creative to try some of the just be a little bit more creative with it.
Okay.
There was no purple at the Arboretum.
Yeah, you don't get a whole lot up there.
Michael,
I like the purple.
Thank you.
I,
whoever
I
said
did,
that.
I did too. It looks very painterly.
Mhm.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. I can recognize your voice. I just trying to be creative. There were what do you call dandelions? The weeds, the yellow part, the flowers.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. I mean, the photograph, I can't get the photograph uploaded. And then I've got one in my hand that I'm getting paint on everything now that I wanted to upload to, and I can't because that's the one I need help on to get the trees in there.
All right. Well, if worst comes to worst, just email it to me and I will load it in there for you.
Oh, you're
Um,
so kind.
can I just,
Okay, thank you for your feedback on this one. Thank you
Well,
all.
yeah, it looks like I maybe got outvoted. So, you know,
No, thank you, classmates. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Way to, yeah. And there's definitely room for creativity, you know, and pushing things. But I still think you can retain a lot of that purple. But I
Okay,
think a little bit of blue gray is going to help but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's the focal point. It kind of
no,
pushes.
I watch everyone's feedback. I appreciate everybody that said something nice and everybody that said something bad.
Good. Well, it sounds like everybody else said something nice, and I'm the only one that said
No,
something.
I can learn. That's a good idea. I like darker tones anyhow, and I appreciate everybody in class. It was so much fun.
It doesn't need to be darker, just maybe a
Yeah.
little cooler. All right.
Okay.
Michael?
Yep.
Vivian again.
Oh, hey,
Can I, regarding brushwork, if you could just look at the other piece that I had, I just wanted to ask you a question. No, not that one. The one, the number 2.
This one? Oh, number 2, oh, yeah.
Right,
geez.
that one there.
I love it.
Brushwork, I have a feeling that I just have missed out on having some sharp edges.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, everything is treated pretty similarly throughout. I mean, even you have like one of your hardest edges is like right here. Like you got
Yeah.
one, you know, everything else is a little bit blurry. Are you using primarily filberts?
Filberts and flats, both.
Do you have some flats? Because I'm only
Yeah.
really seeing, you know, a couple crisp edges, and I find that I get better edge quality with the flats than the filberts.
Where would you, I mean, you know, because I realize it's a smoke tree, and it's kind of a soft thing anyway, but I have that color as kind of like a bullseye in the center. I did this a while ago, but you know, where would I put any of those crisp edges in the warm color there?
So yeah, so I'm not as good at doing that, of making my focal point have crisper edges and then blurring, you know, around the periphery. Oftentimes what I'll do is do that, and then I actually come in with a soft brush and just kind of feather out like in the corners so that your eye is drawn in. And that's how we see as humans, right? When we focus on an area, you know, like when you're talking to somebody, you actually are looking at their mouth or their eyes,
Right.
and even the rest of their face will go a little bit blurry. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously your focal point. You can definitely crispen up some of the edges,
Yeah, a
and
little
that
bit.
will even bring us, you know, there more. This is very centered, and but you do have this nice splash over here that kind of wants to pull it over a little bit, so it doesn't feel as centered as it is.
Okay.
But yeah, you can definitely. The good news is it's easier to soften an edge than it is to make it crisp. So if you came through and kind of made it crisp and tried that out, you know, sharper edged, then you can always soften that really easily.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Nice painting, great colors, great framing and everything else. Nice movement in that one.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have a dire question, or should we jump on to the next thing here?
Yeah.
This is Shelley. I do want to say I posted a wonderful John Singer Sargent video, and please watch it. it explained
Hmm.
when he decided to become an impressionist and spending 2 years on his one painting in the golden hour. So
Wow.
please watch it. It's fabulous.
Yeah, if you guys don't
2
know,
years makes me feel fast.
yeah, if you guys don't know John Singer Sargent, he is definitely 1000% worth investigating, looking up, and studying. He's probably the artist I have. Him and Joaquin Sorolla are the
Yeah.
two artists that I have the most books by. They were
Mm.
contemporaries of each other, but you know, John Singer Sargent was American and Joaquin Sorolla was
Spanish.
Spanish. Yeah, Spain. I was trying to remember. I visited his studio and I was trying to remember what country I was in, Spain. And you could probably tell by his name. They're both amazing. And what when we did our big trip kind of around the world, we were lucky enough to actually come across 2 different Joaquin Sorolla shows in different countries. And then we were able to see his studio. And it's, you know, just like anything, it's so different to see the originals. But I really realized by studying his work and just dying inside, just dying of just love and just the work is beyond gorgeous. It's, you know, if I could paint one of his paintings, I will die happy. They're just so beautiful. And what I really, really liked is that they look so tight and rendered, but when you get up close, a lot of these brushstrokes are just so soft. Well, this is not Joaquin, but Joaquin and John Singer Sargent as well. I've actually a great big print in my other studio, the right next door, of one of Sargent's painting, Carnation, Lily, Rose.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah, the little girls holding the Japanese lanterns.
That's
That's
the one
my
that took him 2 years.
favorite. What's that?
That's the one that took him 2 years because he
Yeah.
only paint that in the golden hour.
Mm.
Mhm.
This also shows the strokes close up, which are
Yeah.
look messy, and then you go far back and you see this beautiful painting. So
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just so neat.
Michael?
And then his 1 second, Susan, his
Okay.
use of thick and thin paint really opened up my eyes that
Mm.
I should really be working with both thin and thick, transparent and opaque paint. And again, they read so well in photos, but when you see them up close, there's parts where you can almost see the canvas. You can really see the texture of the canvas. And then I noticed that with John Singer Sargent after noticing it with Joaquin Sorolla. And then after that, I really started to notice it in Monet's work, which, you know, we always think of Monet as just 100% thick, juicy paint, but no, there's whole areas in Monet's paintings that are just washes of, you know, color over the canvas really thin. Go ahead, Susan.
Yeah. Kim English does that too.
Kim English.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love his work. Oh man. Yeah, I've used his work as examples in a couple of my past classes.
Mm.
Okay, excuse me for interrupting, but for the benefit of the class, at the Legion of Honor Museum now, down in San Francisco through May 14th is the most expansive Singer Sargent exhibition borrowed from museums and private collections, if anyone wants
Wow,
to go
that
to
would be-
San
I
Francisco.
just went to that actually last.
Oh, did you? Who's that
Actually,
speaking?
yeah, that's the Shelley.
Oh, Shelley. Yeah, so you went down to San Francisco. Wait, where are you? You're in Colorado, so.
I'm in Colorado, but I have family in the Bay Area, and they treated me.
So did you go to the Legion of Honor Museum, because it's supposed to be all Sargent now?
Yes, it's Sargent in Spain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that almost sounds like it's worth just booking even a weekend trip. But
Yeah,
that's what we gotta
absolutely.
do.
How long is the exhibit on?
To it says May 14th.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm thinking of driving there for 2 days
Mhm.
just to see it. Oh God.
Cool.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Michael.
no, that's great, and that's great information. And boy, yeah,
Just go online, everybody, too, that you can see some of the pictures. They're amazing. And then Shelley can give more advice to
You
this,
can-
the Legion of Honor Museum. It's
yeah, and
actually,
you can post a link to that in the comments.
you want me to do that?
That'd be fantastic.
Okay,
Bella, nice job. This is beautiful. What a nice little tonal painting you got there, and your clouds and trees and everything. Great job.
Thank you.
Yep. And then I posted a couple of these Bev Doolittles. Oh boy, they're too small, but you can see there's actually some Indians in this scene kind of hiding in there. And anyways, they're fun. I used to love these when I was a little kid, trying to find everything, you know, and you're like, oh, look, there's 4 faces. And then
Mhm.
the owner would
No,
be like,
6.
no, 8, 10, you know, however many faces in it. And then you like 1, 2, 3, 4,
8, 9. I see 9.
8,
Oh,
9.
10. I just
10.
saw.
Crazy. Yeah. And anyways, they're fun. It's kind of a Where's Waldo of fine art. I thought we might do waterfalls this week, so I literally scoured my photos and posted a whole bunch. Iguazu Falls in Brazil, or right on the edge of Argentina and Brazil, is freakishly crazy. 275 waterfalls on this small area, and it just reminds me of like The Land Before Time, or just some children's books I used to look at about Dinotopia. That's the name of it. But anyways, so I took like the biggest collection of waterfalls, and then went to this one, which it's blurry photo. Oh, it's not blurry. Weird. I just love this scene. I've painted it a couple times. Well, a couple times, really quick sketches. But I just love like when you're on a little hike and you just get a little pleasant surprise like this, you know, just a little tiny waterfall. I just grabbed a whole bunch of photos of just different waterfalls. Here's that Iguazu again, just crazy. Unfortunately, when we were there was right after a major rainstorm, so the water was super dirty. You know, there's photos online where it's just beautiful. Laos, this place just destroyed me. This is another one of those moments on our trip where
gorgeous.
Yeah, I
Was-
like this one. This one's really pretty.
it's so beautiful. Wait till I show you some more here. Oh my gosh, that's a photo I took.
Really?
Just
Wow.
pure magic. And look at that watercolor. It is just beyond magical. Yeah, I've wanted to paint this ever since the minute we were there, and I never have yet. Just I don't even quite know how I would do all of this stuff yet. I guess I just got to force myself, but I just got so lucky, and unfortunately I ran because I was just so crazed with the beauty of this small area, probably about a half a mile long, of just waterfall with this crazy beautiful water, and the sun was still early in the sky, and so we got a nice angle. But by the time my wife and daughter and our friends that we had met on that trip joined us, the light was no longer shooting through these trees like this, but I was lucky I got it. This is Opal Creek here in Oregon, and I just added this. There's no waterfall really, but I just added this because there are going to be a couple pictures from this, but I just wanted to show you why they call it Opal Creek. It is beautiful. Here's that same place in Laos again. We ended up swimming, I think we swam in this for quite a while that afternoon. This is kind of one of the best photos I have because I like the framing, and I like that it goes back into depth, and I like this little opening back here. This is one I've contemplated doing for this class as a demo. This is actually at a hotel. No, maybe this isn't. Thought this was a little fake waterfall, but anyways, lots and lots. Waterfalls are strangely difficult to photograph because you're always from the side unless you're willing to get into the water, and or above, or always weird angles. It's hard to get a good angle on a waterfall. And also waterfalls are only really beautiful when the light's hitting them, I find. Otherwise they can be, they'll be beautiful still, but they're not as painterly beautiful. So when I find a waterfall that's got the light hitting it, this is Opal Creek again. I want to, that's the kind of stuff I want to paint. I want lights, I want darks, I want cools, I want warms. I did paint this in plein air while I was out there, and it was a rock kind of cliff face. and I had to set up my tripod so every leg was a different length, and I had to stand with one leg extended and one leg really, really bent. And it was worth it, but holy cow, when I couldn't step back, I couldn't move. I was like kind of on this cliff face. I finished and kind of packed up. I could barely walk because I'd been in that weird position for so long. But anyways, it was worth it. I just did a little 8x10. And this is one I would also like to revisit. I like this because if you squint your eyes, it becomes very abstract. You can just see the dark shapes, which kind of give you your structure. And then, you know, even in the shadows, you got some, and then just playing up the lights. So this is actually not as complicated as it appears if we just broke it into its darks and lights and just, you know, keep it abstract in our brain and then attacked it. Oh, there's a little fuzzy one. Just this is our local Japanese gardens. Beautiful waterfall there. There's just another further out shot so you can get that waterfall. It's always weird when you're looking down, like we're looking directly down here, and then we're looking up, and now we're looking straight across. And, you know, so photos can give you weird perspectives. This is probably still paintable. I might maybe even get rid of this rock here, and I would definitely get rid of this weird branch sticking out. Yeah, anyways, just adding a bunch more. This is a this is a swimming hole in I think it's in Washington. I think it's called Washougal Creek or Washougal River or something like that.
Oh.
And no joke, yesterday something popped up on my Facebook feed that this was voted the #1 skinny dipping location in all of the United States. So you know, that's pretty cool. There was no nude models for us that day.
I think
Great.
I think I read that article, Michael, and I think it was somewhere on Sovi's Island that there's like the #1 skinny dipping spot.
Oh, there's the beaches out there at Savi Island. But this is like I don't know, this was voted like the #1, maybe at more ideal. Because when you go to the beach at Savi Island, just a bunch of I don't know. I don't want to say anything.
Let's go skinny dipping.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty weird. One time I was out plein air painting at Savi Island, and I picked up a naked hitchhiker, an old guy, and I thought maybe he'd put a towel down, but nope, he just sat his naked butt right on my front chair, and it took him out back to his house. Thought it was weird that he maybe somehow got there naked. This is that waterfall that I showed you before with the light rays, without where the sun has moved from here. Now it's tucking back behind there. And what a beautiful, I mean, just mythic formation. This is Opal Creek again. Everybody knows this one. This is our most famous waterfall in Oregon, the biggest waterfall this side of the Mississippi. And it is Multnomah waterfall, huge. This bridge is iconic and beautiful. I've painted this multiple times. It is difficult to paint there because it is so very, very, very touristy that there's just so many people. One time I was there, and every time I stepped back, people would pose with my painting, pick up my paintbrushes like they were painting, and made it really weird. But anyways, I loved this rim light in this. So I'm always looking for, in my paintings, my references that I like the most, as a general rule, I have strong lights and strong shadows. That just makes painting more fun. It makes it so I can block this in. I love that, you know, these rocks come forward in space, and because everything back here is atmospheric and there's nothing dark, nothing nearly as dark as here, this falls back. It gives us a sense of depth and perspective and atmosphere. And then we get this nice rim light that separates this from here. So yeah, this makes a pretty nice waterfall. It is definitely just split down the middle. You know, it's a little bit awkward, but you know, I've painted it a couple times. It's fun. And definitely in Oregon, I can sell those paintings. All right, looks like a couple other people added photos. Thank you, Sandy. Great. So there's waterfalls. So the things I wanted to cover in this week and next week were waves and waterfalls. And then the final 2 weeks, we're going to talk about more placid water, like ponds and, you know, slow moving lakes or streams, where you get more of a reflection, almost more like the image that's in here. right? Where the water, you can see the reflection. So you can tell by looking at the reflection, not the shadow, but the reflection of the objects. If it's really crystal clear, like just a mirror of the thing above it, the water is very smooth and there's no wind. If it's, I added atmosphere and stuff into there. If it's a little bit ripply, but you can still see some reflections, then the water's fast moving. But in a like this painting I did, it's, you know, crashing waves, even though they're not giant waves. There's just not going to be much of a reflection. There's the light, the sun is rising over here. This was a sunrise painting, is reflecting and illuminating the water and creating kind of the glare on the water and on these wet rocks. But there's not going to be, you wouldn't see any reflections in like rapids, fast moving rivers, things with waves, things like that. So here's kind of our notes on water for those of you writing notes. Is with water, the trick is that you're dealing with a lot of different components, right? You're dealing with initially the color of the water, right? So some water is brown, like in these waterfalls of Iguazu, right? Some water is greenish if it's, you know, a stagnant pond. Some water has this turquoisey blue-gray color or really turquoise back here when the light's hitting it. And that's just due to the oxygenation and the rock formations. You'll see that in glacier runoff and stuff like that, where it has that little fine sediment. So anyways, the first thing you want to observe often is what is the color of the water, all right? Then you've got the effects of light on the water. So what color is the sky? What is it doing? What's the angle of the light hitting the water? Those are all going to play into how the water appears. All right. Next thing is the movement of the water. All right. So we've got color of water. We have the light hitting it, or, you know, that's illuminating it, revealing it to us. You have the movement in the water. Is it waves? Is it, you know, waterfall with rapids, right? You're never going to see a reflection in the waterfall itself, but you do see shadows, right? And then if it's still, you'll see clearer reflections. And then the thing that's often the trickiest is depth. Painting the depth of the water. A lot of times when I'm painting creeks and stuff, I can see into the, you know, I can see some of the rocks and things revealing themselves in the water underneath. And then as it gets deeper, those things become more obscured. They'll often become bluer and or whatever. They'll take on more of the color of that water.
The
Trying to
Opal Creek one that you showed us.
Right. Yeah. So that's a great example. Thank you. You can see the rocks underneath there, but we know that this is, you know, turquoise, beautiful, clear water. So if the rocks were not as deep, this is quite deep. In fact, we were jumping off the cliff into this water. So it's actually about 15 feet deep here. And beyond cold because it's spring fed. That's why it's so crystal clear. And what was I going to say? But yeah, because of the depth, it takes on that bluish color. I'm trying to find another painting I did of Multnomah, or of Punchbowl Falls.
Would you paint that real red line by the water and the cliff there, or would you dull that down more? 'Cause that really sticks out.
Yeah, you know what? And I at this stage, this is I think still using, this is an old photo. I think I'm still using a point and shoot camera. I think it was a Sony Elf camera, which was great for hiking and stuff, but would really punch up colors. It was kind of famous for really punching up the colors. And so it's basically called like a high chroma camera. And so, yeah, I would have to kind of take that into consideration, but, you know, it can be nice. And, you know, it's easier for me to kind of dull down colors. than it is to brighten them up. Let's just pull this one up. All right, can you guys see this painting that just popped up?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that a painting?
So yeah, that's one of my paintings there.
Oh my God.
And this is
Gorgeous.
Punchbowl Falls out kind of along the gorge along Eagle Creek Trail. And this is just one of my favorite spots. You can swim back in here, it gets deep enough. Otherwise, it's quite shallow, and you can walk, you know, it's probably barely up to your knees along here. And I just love that you can see these rocks. And I really, you know, I painted all of this fairly quickly, but boy, oh boy, was this an interesting challenge. And I really had to focus in and really just let the abstract nature of it all really envelop me and take over. Here's the little plein air I did of that waterfall that I was telling you about where I stood on the cliff. That one just showed up. So you can see it's quick. It's a little 8x10 and it's still not even that detailed, but you know, I think I captured what I wanted, the sense of motion and just, you know, Vivian, this kind of what you were talking about too, where you can kind of let, you know, the foreground doesn't always need to be your crispest area, right? Because I really want you here. This is the focal point. So by letting this kind of wash away and be more.
And do you find that it's true with say rocks underwater where you can see where it's clear enough to see that the values are closer and the edges are a little softer? Is that
Generally, yeah, that's definitely, you can see that, you know, within here. And that was kind of the trick is, you know, I kind of came through and you can see little dark areas still, but I literally just kind of drew in pretty darkly my shadows and just kind of figured out because I needed them to go back into space. And the weird thing was like the biggest rock isn't at the you know, right up front. And I just went ahead and retained that because I think it still reads naturally as opposed to having always big to small as it goes back into space. But yeah, and then you can see that they're clearer here and then they get softer and softer. And then eventually they just kind of disappear as it's getting deeper and further away from you, not to mention the angle of the sun is reflecting off the water as well. So that's also obscuring what we're seeing.
So Michael, would you say as a general principle that the edges of the rocks in shallow water are more defined than in deeper water?
Yes, that is a really great way to say it. They are more defined. The shadows will be darker, and then the color of the rock will often be a little more revealed as well.
Okay.
These rocks at Opal Creek are quite they're very colorful. There's all different colors under the water. So that also can be kind of make you crazy. So I wanted to accept that, like let that be, but I didn't want it to be as rainbowish as the reference photos that I had taken. And I also, you know, it was kind of fun literally trying to figure out, okay, this is facing east. Okay, what time do I need to be there? Because I want this rim lighting on it, you know. And we got there early enough that it was too cold to really swim, and my wife and friends were nice enough to just hang out and, you know, get up there early. And it's a good hike, and it's kind of a scary hike. There's parts where you actually have to hang on to cables because you're on the edge of cliffs and stuff. But it is definitely a really beautiful hike if you ever get the opportunity. That's Eagle Creek Trail. I was trying to find references for that while talking to you, but I'm not seeing Columbia River Gorge, is it? Huh.
Is
Anyway,
that where
I
also where there's a bunch of logs that you kind of have to hike over as you enter that stream?
Yeah, that is a different waterfall along the gorge. This one doesn't.
Aniana?
Oh, there might be a log jam because this part, there was that major fire happened on this trail a couple years ago out in the gorge. Here's a painting. I can't remember his name. Shoot, but this guy, he lives, I think, in Colorado, and does paint so many of these just gorgeous. I mean, really great examples of the water, the rocks coming in and out of the water and everything else. And here's another one of another artist. Sorry, it's so small. Yeah, dealing with all the different things. And notice this too, that you're only seeing the rocks. Where are you seeing the rocks in this water?
In the
Up close.
foreground.
In the foreground, and why not here?
Is there under the water?
Oh,
Because of the reflection?
deeper.
No, it's not deeper here. This is the reflection from the sky. So these reflections of these trees are making it dark and allowing us to see through, but the reflections of the light are obscuring it. Here's where it gets deeper back here, where it's getting bluer and greener. So yeah, just, there's there's definitely rules, but a lot of painting water really comes down to observation and just really analyzing here. Like this is, again, I paint this area a lot. I love visiting this little creek on the way out to the coast. And just, you can see the rocks and things and all these shadow. Oh, this is so complicated. I mean, you got shadows coming sideways, you've got reflections coming down towards you, dappled light, way too many trees. Who would ever make a forest with so many trees? Come on. It's so fun. But what a beautiful spot to spend a hot summer's day. My good friend Brenda Boylan just did a huge painting of this. I showed her this spot and she's capitalizing on it. And I love going out there in the fall and getting these warm reflections in the water. And look at this shape of this tree is really bothersome to me because it's very balanced.
Even.
Weird kind of fan or like a chicken foot. I don't know. But it's still beautiful. I would just, if I was going to paint this, I would change this, and then I would have to change the reflection as well.
See, I wouldn't automatically know to make that reflection that way because the reflection comes forward so much of that tree. They're fatter branches or trunks, yeah, and they fan out so much more than the tree above it. That's interesting.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? It makes you really curious, like where's the light source, right? It's right here, I believe, kind of coming down and across there. Anyways, yeah, water's just, it's dizzying. We should probably just do an entire class on just water. And look at this. Isn't that just gorgeous? This beautiful study. Unfortunately, I did not write. Oh, this is TJ Cunningham. Yeah, you guys should look him up. He's amazing. I think this is another one of TJ Cunningham's. He just does these beautiful studies, but they're so nice and they're so poetic.
That one, there is a detail of a larger piece that's just great.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, not sure. Yeah, another one of his. Maybe this.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, TJ Cunningham is somebody to look at and salivate and then study. Here's another one that I've painted a couple times.
Nice.
I think I even painted it in an OSA class in person. But again, I really like the sun blasting through here. It also takes, some configuring because I don't love all the tree shapes and things. But there's something about this. I love the rippling and I love, the water's stiller over here, not as much movement. You can actually see through it. But up here, where it's shallower, it's creating little ripples. So much that you can just look at and study. I think it's another TJ Cunningham. Yep. So you can see the reflection of the sky right here. Very subtle, but it sure really helps break up this big brown space.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about as much as we need to talk about. Do you guys have any questions about water or anything else? This is one that I had intended to do. This is a photo I took. And again, with that bright camera, look at how it just makes everything glow.
I like that one. That one's really nice.
I've always wanted to do this in a Monet style, real thick and juicy and fun. Yeah, it's kind of fun just revisiting my photos real quickly. Here's just all in shadow. Yeah, I've got so many photos. I'm always out taking pictures of different things, just even little elements. I love the roots as they're sticking out of the water. And yeah, I have lots that are almost just reflections only.
Mm.
Again, those fall colors. So just, it's not enough, you guys, anymore. It's not enough just to go to a beautiful place and take a photo. You need to capture the light. You need to figure out what is going on that makes it interesting. You want light and shadows, you want warms and cools. Oh, this is not water.
Is that a painting? Yeah.
That one previously wasn't, no. Yeah, I can't see, my thumbnails are really little, so I'm kind of having a hard time seeing what they are until I blow them up. Yeah, again, look at way too many trees. It's so busy, but it's still quite beautiful. You know, I'd probably have to zoom in and pick just an element of it.
That's
This
great.
is one that I thought was just so cool with the black and white. I just loved the
Did you
shadow.
paint the one on the left? Did you do that?
No, that's not mine. No, can't remember her name. She's a great painter, does a lot of these. She's keeps her paint pretty thick and pretty direct like that. I cannot remember her name. Sorry, my brain's a little bit fried after teaching. Oh, and I woke up at 3 this morning. I was a little too excited, evidently, about that that class. All right, here's 1 or 2 more that are going to hopefully pop up. Maybe not. I don't. Yeah, again, I'm just pulling from my own files, so I haven't grabbed the name of everybody. These are just, you know, when I see a beautiful picture, I'll just capture. I'll just, you know, do a screen grab and use it as a reference to kind of be inspired by later. So I think a lot of artists do that. A lot of us have what we call clip files, or, you know, I'm gonna try opening that one more time. There it is. I love just the soft atmospheric nature of that one. I think that's a Japanese artist. Anyways, any questions about water from what we talked about there? No.
Nope.
Trying to figure out what I can do for, you know, the rest of our class here.
How about waves? Like the angles as you're painting across, you know,
Yeah.
the ocean and stuff.
So actually my intention, how do I just close them all down? Huh, it's not letting me. There it is. Okay, close all windows. My intention today initially was to do either one of those waterfall paintings or this one. I know it doesn't have big and beautiful waves, and I will grab photos and, you know, references for those for next week. But would you guys like to see a demo on this one? I have the darks laid in already, and I can kind of want to do a little bit of palette knife action with this. This is one that I have ready, or we could pick one and I can just do kind of how I would approach it, how I might even just block it in if we have one. My intention was to do a waterfall this week, so maybe we should just look back to those waterfalls.
Waterfall.
And
Waterfall.
Do the waterfall.
yeah,
Waterfall.
oh man, my mouse is either dying or something. It's not, there we go. It's not moving everything. I did want to do this one, but that looks like a lot to try to do kind of quickly. But I could
Can we-
try.
Can we
You
do
guys-
the other one with the water windmill thing?
That one is even more. I'm worried
That
about
one
just
there.
time. Yeah, that's so beautiful, isn't it? Bamboo.
Or
Yeah,
the wa-
like
or
to
the-
learn how to make the water run like that.
Just leave the water wheel out and just take an
Yeah.
axis like
No,
the
that's
bam-
the- that's
the
the best
bamboo and the rock from that point.
Or how about the opal one? The
That's
opal
what I'm
fall?
kind of thinking. I think with those lights and darks, I can block that in a lot quicker.
You just passed it.
Yeah, I'm thinking this one,
Beautiful. Great.
Where is that?
Opal Creek. So that's the one I did the little plein air painting of.
Yeah, yeah. That would be easy to block in.
Yeah, so then we will have kind of these shapes. So let's try rubbing in something really quickly with this, just talking about that. And we won't, unfortunately, waterfalls are going to be less covered. but you'll understand kind of what I'm looking for, the lights, the darks. And so with waterfalls, again, you guys, if you go back and look through your references of all the waterfalls, because everybody takes a photo of a waterfall if you see it, right? But it is really difficult. I spent a long time picking up these waterfall photos because, we have hundreds and thousands of waterfall photos, but so few of them would make a great painting. They're just a picture of a beautiful place, which again is just not enough. So let's take a quick, oops, my camera fell down. Quick 5-minute break, and I will change up my setup on the easel from the little demo I just did. And we will knock in a little waterfall. Does that sound good, you guys? And we'll go a little bit long. I know, Vivian, you have to
Yes.
leave at noon here, and I fully understand. We're already down to just, oh no, there's 14 of us. So there's quite a bit. Anyways, if time is of, an important thing, I completely understand. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just gonna do my best to keep this abstract, knock it in, and kind of explaining how, and it's gonna be basically the start of a painting, not a finished painting, unless a miracle occurs.
I'd like to see how brush strokes make the water look like it's flowing. That's how you make your.
Yeah, what if we attempted to do this as if I were doing plein air,
Oh,
and kind of having to attack it literally like you would a plein air in a certain amount of time, and I just want to get as much information down as I can. How does that sound?
I like it.
All right, let's do it. Thank you guys for being so understanding and versatile today. I really appreciate that, being flexible and letting me do that little demo this morning with Eric. And yeah, I really do appreciate it.
hey, Michael, did you get to see the chat from Eric's thing? All your students were hugging you from afar.
Oh no, I didn't get to read it. I didn't want to stay
Oh,
and read.
bummer.
I wanted to make sure I got back to you guys over here. So anyways, I will just, that way I don't, if there was any negative comments, I didn't have to read those.